Hey guys, Chris, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about Waccha Primmagi. It's coming soon and I wanted to bring up my hopes, given that I could barely make it through Prichan Season 3. Now this is all very subjective, so we should probably get right into it, so you get a feeling of what this video is going to be like. Let's get into it. So the first thing that I want is more extreme lore. Now that we've given up on the technology angle that Prichan was going for, it's time to get weird. We have magic, and Season 3 did try to be magical with Prichan land, but it was just more of the same from PRIPARA, so I'm hoping we have something completely new. Pretty Rhythm managed to come up with pretty interesting ideas 3 seasons in a row, while evolving the lore each time. That's what really makes shows like this fun. The fun and whimsy of not having any limit. It doesn't even have to be dark lore, it just needs to be something that makes the world more interesting. Wilder lore also allows for the seasonal gimmicks to be a little more believable. After Prichan Season 2, after the finale of Prichan Season 1, they had already gotten a bunch of views, so I didn't really see what the whole point of being a jewel idol or an Illuminage queen was. PRIPARA's system entering different modes made a lot more sense because fundamentally you were still trying to be the top idol, you're still trying to make it to divine idol level. But in Prichan, it was very vague. Every season would start with Mirai saying, oh, I'm going to become this thing, and then by the end she becomes it, but no, she's still not on top, so I do think that just tightening such spaces. PRIPARA likes to play it fast and loose with the Goddesses of Time just existing as well, and I don't know, I think that that approach definitely was useful. I didn't like Idle Time, but I think the lore in PRIPARA Season 1 and 2 was pretty interesting, with mascots, mascot graveyards, and even an explanation of how you can make your own PRIPARA making drama, and you have to ask for a song. It just felt like they put a lot more thought into how things work than they did in Prichan. So let's move on to the next point. Related to the lore, I want better power scaling. This coincides with the way power-ups are handed out and how the tournaments are structured. Rainbow Live and Aurora Dream did this really well, and even Planet had a constant ranking that we were aware of, and Dressia battled. PRIPARA and Prichan didn't really try in this department, and it made the competition swing between extremely predictable and random. There's no visual or technical indicator of who's a better performer beyond who the episode is about. We'll get into specifics so you get what I'm saying. The Jewel Collection is probably one of my favorite pre-Katsu tournaments because I always love solo tournaments where the girls get an individual power-up chord and they get to sing a solo. It's a great way to give each character focus, and it really fleshes out the cast. Now for the Jewel chords, we would often spend multiple episodes with the same characters, and this is partly due to the smaller cast. Unlike PRIPARA, Prichan only had 3 new characters in Season 2. As a result, we got a ton of unique interactions between different pairings, and I've spoken about this in a lot of my previous videos. I really cherish this format because it kind of forces character focus onto each girl and makes the Jewel chord feel earned. The structure also allowed the winners to be spread out. Mirai wins for Miracle Kirats, and that represents their unit, as well as the fact that she's the main character. Maria and Suzu both win the second round because they're new and they need to seem competent. If the new characters aren't involved, or if they're not as good, if not better than the mains, then there's no real reason for them to be involved. This is actually a minor problem I had with Sala. I'm glad she wasn't in the final ranking, but it's just like, why introduce her so late if she's not going to do anything, you know? Maybe she should have come earlier so her lack of relevance in the Planet Princess Grand Prix is more acceptable. The final round is won by Sarah for Meltic Star. So we have each of the 3 main units represented, we have the main character for the main unit, we have a character from the rival unit, and we have a character and we have the new unit winning together. I think it's a shame Mirai got her jewel cord first. Akatsu does do this better since I don't think there's a single season where the MC gets the super dress first. I like what Stars did with Yume. Having her gain star wings at the end made it seem like she really had to work hard for that. Plus, thematically, it came from the efforts of everyone, though mostly Koharu's design talent. I hope Primagi gives the inevitable power-up chords to the main character kind of late. Now on to Season 3 of Prichan. Once again, I didn't finish this, but I just couldn't get myself to watch it. I know because of how the arcade game was structured, they probably didn't have a choice, but between having to hear the same mascot song and the recycled performances, none of these competitions felt even remotely enjoyable. I didn't really care who won, partly because it was painfully obvious. I mean, even just by looking at the areas, you have a good chance of figuring out who's gonna win what. But unlike the Jewel collection, there just weren't enough units to keep things interesting. This is one of the downfalls of Prichan's smaller cast. In PRIPARA, we had so many people that the Divine Idol Grand Prix had a lot of participants, and it was exciting, but here, it's just not very exciting. It's like, okay, so whenever these characters come back, they're gonna win next. It feels almost like a rehearsal, like you already know what's gonna happen, you're just trying to go through the motions of a tournament. However, even with a smaller cast, I don't see why they didn't handle the song distribution better. Season 3 felt very stingy with its music, maybe it's because it was coming to an end, but Meltic Star, the main rival, didn't even get a second song. Anj has been using the same song since Season 1, and I honestly expected them to use Perfect Finale for her and Hakucho, who didn't even get to be in CGI. There's just so many loose ends that make the tournament feel more like a highlight reel for each unit, and that's why I don't think I'll ever really finish that season. Now, speaking of tournaments that did things right, we're going to talk about the incredible idea that Prepara Season 2 had, which is the Dream Parade. To this day, my ranking of seasons is Rainbow Live, followed by Prepara Season 2, and then Prepara Season 3. The tournaments and how they react with the story, the tournaments and how they interact with the story play a large role alongside the character arcs, the music, and general writing. See, Prepara had 13 characters by the end of Season 2, and these characters were broken into multiple 5-person units. This brought a lot of excitement, as with so many different players, we could speculate about who's going to be in the next Dream Team. It's another situation where there's no real competition, but since there's only one performance, it's worth it. The 5-person performances are a spectacle and give us really unique vocal pairings, not to mention a lot of visual flair. I do think Prichan Season 3 could have been exciting, even if we knew who was going to win. I just think that if they had taken a more creative approach to it, it would have been worth watching, to me. The first Dream Team was the main unit, plus the 2 new characters, which is a good way to introduce them. We're going to be talking about how the characters are distributed across these teams, so that's what this section is for. In the next team, we get the rival unit, another new character, and Lala because main characters are unstoppable in these series. This is where a trend starts to emerge because you'll notice that each Dream Team introduces another new character, which is really exciting. The third one is close to my heart because it has Ajimi and Cosmo. I just think that these two have a great friendship, and I also think it's fun for the kids to see adult characters partake in such a goofy song. Kind of sends the message you don't really have to grow out of wearing bright colors, being loud and fun. So yeah, anyway, it's a new character and a member from another unit. And then Stellapara Opera is the final one, which gives us our last new character. And I really like how they spaced these out. It made each new performance feel refreshing. I just think that this was a really great way to explore new dynamics. Breaking up the original units was probably one of the smartest decisions, like business-wise. Like, I don't know about the business part, but just the shock in my face when I finished Season 1 and found out that the units were disbanded just for this to happen. I was really excited. It's a great way to keep a tournament refreshing, even though we already know who's going to win. Not to mention the race at the end. That is probably my favorite 9 minutes of Prepara Season 2. It was such an epic finale. It was an amazing way to end the season, and I really do hope Primagi can bring us something on that level. Now finally we're going to talk about Rainbow Live and PRIPARA Season 3. These two both did something minor that I really appreciate, and that is using the full song. Using the full song is an easy way to give performances a grand feeling. The time can be used to chain together gimmicks like prism jumps or making dramas. If Aikatsu did this, they could use multiple special appeals. It's also a great time to put in monologues and flashbacks so that we can get a real victory lap of seeing how the character has grown. I think that the Pretty series has very good music and the long versions are always better, so it is a shame that we don't see this often. Primagi, please bring this back for the final tournament at the end of the 50 episode season. I always love to see it. Nothing says epic more than the entire song being used, because now you know things are serious. Now you know we're going to get to see something interesting. Also, a minor thing I forgot to mention about PRIPARA Season 3, it actually felt like the main characters could lose. It was obvious they wouldn't, but in their battle against Tricolor, like, they actually made it tense because it felt like they could lose. We knew it, they wouldn't. But even in their battle against Dressing Parfait, it always felt like every person participating had a chance, and I don't think we've seen that at all in Prichan. It's never clear who's going to win. It always feels random. I ranted about this in my Season 2 video. Yeah, you can go watch that if you want to hear more about my feelings on Mirai winning for some reason. So those are the main things I wanted to talk about. We don't have a lot of information, so there isn't too much to go off of. A few miscellaneous things I would like to add. I hope we have really nice sound effects. I think that the pre-ticket sound effect is probably my favorite one. The microphones. I think the OST has been pretty decent for the past few series. You know, even Prichan has really nice music during the chord change. I hope it stays consistent, and I expect them to do well, because they always do. But with that said, that is it for me. This is probably one of my shortest videos in recent times, but you know, variety. With that said, I'll see you next time. I've started working on the Pretty series character and voice actress compilation. I'm updating it so that it includes everyone up to Prichan Season 3, so wish me luck.